Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Bonnie and I will be continuing to speak wisdom into your life. I have started reading this book from the library and I had to renew it because it is a bit dense and I haven't been reading it fast enough for the time that they will let me borrow it. And I'm still just only 3 or 4 chapters in. And so I wanted to sort of do a video per chapter. This one is going to be really quick because I kind of breezed through the second chapter. If you didn't catch the previous video, it was talking a lot about why they are extending their history of humanity to be talking about what we should be doing to navigate the modern world. So hunter-gatherers is a title on purpose, and it's a very long evolutionary history of humanity and why we make the decisions that we do and why that is doing us a disservice in today's environment. And so chapter 2, which is the one that we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to read a little a paragraph out of it that I think is quite powerful. It was going through the phylogeny, that's probably not a real word, but talking about the categorization, the taxonomy of animals and plants, and so domains and kingdoms and orders and families and species and all of those kinds of things. And so for me, I kind of breezed through it because it was a refresher of my first year biology courses, and it's just essentially identifying that we have common ancestors and the behaviors and the adaptations that we have connect us, and you can trace it back and you can kind of see how the environmental pressures have pushed the evolution of our bodies and have made us do specific things. And one thing that was really cool about it was they talked specifically, I wish I should have had the be able to find it ready for you in where it is. But they talked specifically about 2 different kinds of adaptations. One that was a culture pressure, so like sort of the nurture of your development influenced what was happening. And so this was talking about, visual mirages, no, visual illusions, optical illusions. That's the word that we're looking for. Optical illusions. So there's one that it's got 2 lines that are the same length, but on one side there's lines like this, and then on the other side the lines are like this. And it looks like to us, or to me anyway, that the one with this one, the line is longer than the one here. It's an optical illusion, the lines are actually the same, right? So you can take your ruler, you can measure it, the lines are the same, and then like, whoa. What's extra interesting about that phenomena, not all groups of people succumb to that optical illusion. And they hypothesize that one of the reasons that we do in Western societies, they call them weird. So Western, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. It's an acronym. Industrialized, educated, Western educated, industrialized, something, democratic. I can't remember what R is. Sorry, I'll look it up and maybe put it into the description. If you don't grow up in a weird society, your architecture is different potentially. And one of the things that we have done in our society is we're very square. All of our architecture is very square. And so they wonder if that is why we have these optical illusions now that we see, because we're so used to this square architecture, which I thought was really cool. And then they talk about a specific group of people where they don't have that optical illusion. They're a hunter-gatherer society still today, and they live out, in nature. They don't have this square architecture, and the optical illusion, they can clearly see that the lines are the same. They don't fall for it. Really, really cool. And then they talk about how if you take a child born in a weird nation and you raise them with this other family, they will also not succumb to the optical illusion. So it has to do with how you're raised, aka the nurture component of nature or nurture. And then they talk about how some people process dairy and some people can't process dairy, and how that has, the way that we've evolved, and various cultures had, relationships with farm animals and developed the ability to continue to drink milk past where other mammals drink milk, humans, we drink cow milk and we have dairy and all of these ice cream and butter and all these delicious things. And some of us can process that fine, and we have retained the ability to break down lactase, and some of us can't. And that is wired into our genome. We're born with that trait, and it doesn't matter if you take a Scandinavian born person and raise them, say, in Japan, where they don't have that same relationship with dairy, they'll still be able to consume milk. And then vice versa. If you can't break down lactase, you still... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. It's not lactase. Lactase is the enzyme. I should know this. Lactose. Lactose is the sugar. I apologize to all of the biology people out there that looked at me and went, that's not accurate at all. Lactose is the sugar. Lactase breaks it down. Some people have lactase, some people do not. I have set the record straight. But what's interesting is it doesn't matter where you're raised, you either can break down the sugar or you can't. And so they talked about how it's not a question of nature versus nurture. It's the nature is shaped by the nurture. Your nurture influences your nature and vice versa. And it's this relationship that has evolved over time. And so then they ended the chapter in this really beautiful way that talked about what makes us human. And they have this really nice paragraph of what makes us human that I want to read out verbatim for you because I want the author's words to actually be out there. So here we go. Humans have retained the vast majority of these innovations from our history, from brains and bone to agriculture and boats. We breathe air and generate heat. We have efficient hearts, which sometimes fail us. We have limbs and hands and feet. We are dexterous, agile, and social. We walk upright, which allows us to carry things long distances. We have just a few children at a time, and those children learn from their elders and from each other. Our facial expressions may unite us, our language less so. We use tools to make more complex tools. We live in groups and have hierarchy. We engage in reciprocity, exchanging both gifts and blows. We cooperate to compete. We have law and leaders, ritual and religious practice. We admire hospitality and generosity. We admire beauty in nature and in one another. We dance and sing, we play. Our differences are fascinating, but our similarities make us human. And I just really liked that paragraph as a way to sort of bring it together. And I'm excited to carry on with this series. The next chapter, I jumped ahead. The illusion is right there. It's the next chapter. I've totally spoiled it for next week. Oh, and then here we go. Weird countries. I'll set the record straight and then we'll call it a day here. Western nations, highly educated populace, an industrialized economic base that are relatively rich and democratic. So talking globally, that's what a weird country is. So I think when we say the West, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about weird nations. But then also there are some other that are maybe not, they're sort of east meets west, but still weird, which is why they're so specialized in their acronym. Okay, so next week it will either be chapter 3 and 4 or just 4, and we'll just carry on with this book and all the things that I'm learning about that I think is really going to challenge how I perceive the world, how I perceive myself and my own identity, and as well as how I sort of look at my behavior in this crazy modern world that we are currently living in. Take care and have a magical day. Bye.